Okay guys, here we go. I figured I'd play a slower game this time. I tried to play some blitz earlier and I wasn't doing too good, so I figured I would give a slow game a shot. And as you can tell, I haven't played too many slow games, so I'm only 1560. But I'm playing a guy named Sammiir, who's 1586. From the United States. I wouldn't have guessed from his name, but whatever. I guess you can't judge a book by its cover. So this is a dragon, open Sicilian dragon. That's different. I don't think I've seen that variation. Bishop e5 check. I think generally there's Sicilians like the canal attack where they play bishop b5 check. You block with the bishop, and when they trade, you play queen takes. But here, I guess he just wanted to castle kingside as fast as possible, which is okay. I mean, I think I've said this before, but I really don't like it when they play this way, just because it makes the game a lot more, I don't know, a lot more one-sided. Because I'm almost forced to defend the entire game, which is not what I like to do, as you all know. So this is turning into basically a Najdorf Dragon mixed, which I mean, it's all very interesting, but it's not my favorite because it turns out to be more of a positional game than anything else. So I guess he wanted to maintain his light squared bishop. To what end, I'm not sure. It would have made more sense to keep the bishop on c4 to try to maintain it rather than d3, but this is typical of games where they play f4 and try to break that way. I definitely don't want to trade my dark squared bishops off, so I'm going to play knight g4. One, hitting his bishop and forcing it to do something. And if he goes bishop g5, then h6, and I've successfully prevented the trade of dark squared bishops, at least for now. He can't play bishop f4 because I just play e5, I think, and I win a piece. Okay, so h6, like I said. And now he's going to play either bishop e3 or bishop h4. Oh wow, he played bishop f4. That has to be a mistake because e5 forks two pieces. Actually, I could just take his bishop right away, which is good. I mean, his knight. I think. Well, bishop takes d4, bishop takes h6, knight takes h6, queen takes h6, and then bishop g7 is okay for me. So I think I'll do that. I mean, I'll win a piece right away, so that's got to count for a lot. I'm not sure what his plan was. Kind of the result of his bizarre move, bishop d3. If his bishop was on c4, he wouldn't have had that problem. Or even all the way back on e2, he wouldn't have had the problem of knight g4. I mean. So here he played h3 on my knight. And like I want to play e5, but if I play e5, he plays bishop g3, and then say knight to f6, he can play queen takes h6, and I've dropped my h pawn, which is no good. So instead, let's see if I can find a better continuation here. Not too worried about my dark squares around my king, because he's lost a lot of attacking credibility when he lost his d4 knight. Generally, the knights are key players in any attack on a Vinchetto king, especially if he can't pry open the h file with a rook behind it. So What I don't want to do, however, is block my bishop from retreating. If only there was a way I could trade my knight off, but I can't. I could play knight to e5, and then play, after bishop h6, knight takes bishop, but then he can play bishop takes f8, followed by c takes d3, and I'll be down in exchange, it looks like, after all of that. I could play knight takes. I don't want to do that. I was looking at knight takes f2. Knight takes f2, rook takes f2, and then maybe queen b6, and then queen b6, knight d5, bishop takes f2 check. It doesn't look too good for me. I think I might just have to suck it up and play knight f6, and after bishop takes h6, rook e8, and then try to consolidate after that. A lot of times what happens when you win a piece is you end up in positions like this where you're kind of tied down for a little while, and you just have to try to consolidate as best you can. So I'm expecting bishop takes h6 here, and then after rook e8, whatever he's going to do to try to, I don't know how to describe it, go after my bishop, because he doesn't want my bishop to retreat back to g7, because that'll shut down any counterplay he has. Because his advantage right now is that my bishop is away from my king, which weakens the dark squares around my king. So if my bishop can slide back to g7, that'll consolidate everything. One option here would be bishop takes h6, just play knight to h7 right away. And then after bishop takes f8, queen takes f8, and what will I have? I'll have two pieces for a rook. Two pieces for a rook and a pawn, which is good. I mean, I'll have the two bishops, I'll have two knights, so I can do a lot of damage with that. Especially since the board will be mostly open, and my one bishop's vianchettoed, so it would be absolutely strong. Working that long h8, a1 diagonal. One option for him here is an immediate bishop c4, hitting my dark squared bishop, and then after, say, knight c6, then he can play bishop takes h6, and then I'll be almost forced to play knight h7 right away, to prevent his queen from coming into g5, which would attack my g6 pawn, which is effectively undefended because the c4 bishop attacks pins my f7 pawn. So I think to make my consolidation a lot easier, I'm just going to offer him my rook. My knight's misplaced on h7, but if he plays bishop takes f8, I can just play knight takes f8, and now my king is thoroughly defended. My knight can maybe go to e6, and then d4 later on, or maybe even f4. My other knight can come to c6, rook to c8, and then I just work on his queenside pawns.